All right, so first off, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. Okay, so this video, is going to go into the third and final question that was raised by Google in this back and forth that we were going through. So let's get a reminder of the third question and we'll just go right into it. So it reads, does a collective Holy Spirit have the same powers as Yahweh? How do divine abilities like being everywhere at once, omnipresence, or knowing everything, omniscience, or omniscience, all right, work if the Holy Spirit is a group of created angels ministering for Yahweh? Okay, so we're going to get into that question. Let me scroll down here to the answer. All right, so from everything that we plugged in the past couple of videos that we've done, all right, it got an answer, all right, just from the things that we had already spoken about in the previous two videos. So it says, based on your interpretive framework using 1611 King James, including the Apocrypha, for specific terminology, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, in your view of the Holy Spirit as a combined consciousness of obedient angels, we can now address how divine attributes like omnipresence and omniscience function for this collective. All right. It says how divine attributes work in the context of Yahweh's will. It says, from your perspective, the divine attributes of omnipresence and omniscience or omniscience are not inherent to the created angels themselves, but are rather a manifestation of Yahweh's, excuse me, hold on a second. But are rather a manifestation of Yahweh's power and knowledge, which are channeled through the angelic collective of the Holy Spirit. So it goes on to say omnipresence through Yahweh's encompassing power. Yahweh is the source. Omnipresence, the ability to be everywhere at once, is an attribute of Yahweh alone. The 1611 KJV speaks of Yahweh's presence as encompassing all creation, such as in Jeremiah 23 and 24, where it reads, do not I fill the heaven and the earth, saith the Lord. All right, goes on to say angels as conduits. It says, as obedient ministering spirits, the Holy Spirit, okay, the collective of angels, acts as a conduit for Yahweh's power, instead of being individually omnipresent. The angels are dispatched by Yahweh throughout all creation to fulfill his will. The perception of the Holy Spirit being everywhere at once is therefore a result of the collective's ability to act on Yahweh's behalf across all time and space, rather than a single being occupying all space simultaneously. Consider Ecclesiastes 18 and 3 in the King James Apocrypha, where it says, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will. This verse highlights Yahweh's supreme, all-encompassing power. The angels act as extensions of that power, ensuring his will is executed universally, thereby giving the appearance of an omnipresent spiritual presence. Okay, omniscience or omniscience through shared knowledge from Yahweh. As a matter of fact, before I let's see if I can just go get the definition of omniscience and the pronunciation, so I don't have to keep saying both. Which I guess you can pronounce it both ways, but let's go see.
Omniscience.
Omniscience. Okay. The state of knowing everything. All right. So it is I was saying omniscience, but it's omniscience. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so where are we at now? Omniscience through shared knowledge from Yahweh. It says Yahweh possesses all knowledge. It says just as with omnipresence, omniscience, the state of being all-knowing, is an attribute of Yahweh alone. In your framework, the angels are created beings with limited, though vast, knowledge. Yahweh, as the eternal being, has complete knowledge. The combined consciousness of the Holy Spirit, the obedient angelic collective, perfectly reflects the will and knowledge of Yahweh. They don't have infinite knowledge intrinsically, but they are granted access to the divine knowledge necessary to carry out their specific duties. When the Spirit communicates a message, all right, for example, to the churches in Revelation, it is not a collective mind pulling from its own infinite knowledge, but rather a perfect reflection of Yahweh's message. In this way, Yahweh is the ultimate source of knowledge. Yahweh Shai is the primary recipient and channel of that knowledge as the head of the collective. And the collective angelic spirit perfectly executes and communicates it. The combined consciousness, therefore, functions as a single, unified source of divine guidance because it is directly and flawlessly reflecting the perfect will and knowledge of Yahweh. It says, summary within your framework. It says, omnipresence is a manifestation of Yahweh's encompassing power, not an inherent attribute of the individual angels. The collective of obedient angels, the Holy Spirit, acts as a universal agent of Yahweh's will. Omniscience is a result of the Holy Spirit's combined consciousness perfectly reflecting the infinite knowledge of Yahweh. The angels are not all-knowing themselves, but they communicate and enact Yahweh's perfect knowledge and purpose. All right, it says this addresses the final question regarding the divine attributes as requested. All right, so that was that. All right, so that was that. We're going to get into Lord willing. Everything is Lord willing, as everyone should know. All right, but we'll get into another question and answer at some point, and I'll probably try to do better at the title, just so you know what questions we were going into during that specific video. But as far as this, all right, I hope it came through as edifying and sincere. And all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth, and where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.